Hey leaders, welcome back. This is the final post for this third week of the fourth quarter challenge. This week we focused on letting go of certain things with our careers. And today we're talking about something that every leader says that they want, but most unknowingly prevent, and that's innovation. But before we move ahead, please remember to like and don't forget to share the link for this channel and invite others to join you in this challenge. If you're not in the challenge yet, that's fine. There are still 10 weeks to go and you can still catch up. This is also the time to consider the Put Your Dreams to the Test mastermind. Stay until the end for details. Now, for today's question, what practices are hindering your team's ability to innovate? Let's start with a hard truth. If your team isn't innovating, it's not because they lack creativity or intelligence. It's because the environment you've created as their leader makes innovation risky, causes it to be unrewarded, or downright impossible. You probably don't feel like you're an innovation killer, although you want new ideas and new practices. You communicate the opposite. Let's look at three common practices that kill innovation, and we'll take a look at how to replace those practices. Innovation killer number one, punishing failure. This is the big one. You say that you want people to take risks and try new things, but when someone's experiment falls flat and fails, how do you respond to that failure? Do you ask, what did we learn? Or do you say, this is why we stick to what works? Do you celebrate the attempt? Or do you highlight the waste of time and resources? You may be teaching your team that failure has negative consequences. And inadvertently, when you do that, you're discouraging them from trying things another way. People who are afraid to risk failure play it safe. They do only what has worked before. They protect themselves instead of exploring possibilities. They don't innovate. The fix to this is to create a learning budget to counter the risk averse mindset that exists. You can make failure a data point, not a career threat. Do this by allocating a percentage of time that can go toward experiments that might not work, with the only requirement being that they document what was learned, because we do learn with every failure. Also, when something fails, celebrate what you learned from the failure and highlight the new knowledge that you've gained and how it saved your team from maybe making the same mistake on a larger scale further down the road. The second innovation killer, valuing efficiency over experimentation. Most teams are measured on productivity, efficiency, and throughput. Every meeting starts with, what did you accomplish? There's no space for wondering, exploring, playing with ideas, or just trying something new. When that happens, people optimize what exists instead of imagining what could be. While optimization of current resources is excellent and needed, innovation is far superior because that is what allows you the competitive edge. The fix to this? Schedule innovation time. Remember that innovation requires white space. Having white space means that there is permission to think without immediate ROI, return on investment. White space often requires exploration without a predetermined destination. Although you might not have the luxury of giving your team the 20% of their work time for side projects as Google has done, you can still try setting aside a couple of hours per week, maybe two or three, where your team works on something that's not on their task list, but related to your overall team's goals and responsibilities. Perhaps you can work on a process improvement as a team, or a new approach to your assignment as a team, or resolution to a nagging problem that they've been curious about. The only rule is that they be willing to share what they discovered at the end of the month. What emerges when people have permission to explore will amaze you. Innovation killer number 3. That's not how we do things here. When someone suggests a new approach and the leader's response is some version of, we tried that before and it didn't work, or that's not our process, or that's not how we do things here, or we don't have time for that right now. All of these versions are no, and innovation is discouraged, if not killed outright, because the leadership implies that it is closed to new ways. The fix for this is replace no with how might we. When someone suggests something new, instead of explaining why it won't work, ask, how might we make that work? Turn every idea into a problem-solving exercise rather than a feasibility debate. Even if the idea ultimately isn't viable, the act of exploring it together builds an innovation culture. Here's your action plan going forward. This week, do a 3-step innovation audit. Ask your team, anonymously if needed, on a scale of 1 to 10, how safe do you feel trying new approaches, even if you know the approach might fail? Then ask them, what's one practice or norm that prevents you from innovating? And then the 3rd step, ask them to identify the one innovation killer that's most present in your team culture. Then this week, replace each innovation killing practice with one of the fixes that I shared previously. 3rd, devise a concrete plan to systematically implement the fixes and roll the plan out in your next team meeting. Remember that you will not be able to fix everything at once. You will have to prioritize. In fact, you might consider allowing the team to comment on which of the areas identified should be tackled first. Open the innovation item on your meeting agenda by saying, I've realized that we've been making it hard to innovate and to explore new approaches. Let's discuss a plan to make some changes. Transparency plus action equals culture shift. The bottom line is this. Innovation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when leaders create conditions for it to happen. Don't bother to ask for innovation if you choose to maintain practices that punish risk, that reward efficiency only, that honor hierarchy over ideas, that shut down new approaches, and that smother or fail to recognize creative thinking. You, leader, must be willing to dismantle the barriers you've unknowingly built if you want to build a team culture of innovation. Now, if you're realizing that your team needs a culture shift toward innovation, this 4th quarter challenge is where we're building exactly these kinds of teams. There's still time for you to join us. In fact, invite your whole team. But here's where the deep work happens. My Put Your Dreams to the Test Mastermind, which starts next month. You will have 5 weeks of focused work to help you to dream bigger, test those dreams, and build innovative approaches for 2026. And if you're a woman in transition, an accelerated R4, Rest, Reimagine, Relaunch, and Rise program begins on November 8th, so there's time to join this transformative cohort. Head straight to my website for all the information. Make the plan, break the barriers, and build an innovation culture. Remember, I'm here to help you to transform your team culture from status quo to innovative. Connect with me to schedule a 15-minute call. I'll see you next week when we will continue the discussion on what to release and let go to make next year a more successful and fulfilling one. In the meantime, remember to like, subscribe, share, and invite others to join you on this fourth quarter challenge. Have a great balance of a day and a wonderful weekend.